Hello, and welcome to my Humanities project. For my method of communication, I have decided to create this podcast to share the idea of prayers through generations until it came to my generation. I want to start off with discussing about my grandmother, as she has been a great influence for as long as I can remember. As my roots for this project is chanting and prayers, she has been doing prayers ever since she was young. Her father, which is my great-grandfather, was also very fond of praying and had brought the idea to her. A time she never forgot was because of praying, where she had a major sickness and her father taught him a slokam, a Tamil word used for chanting. This slokam was told to her that she was supposed to repeat and her illness would then be healed. Here's the slokam. Shitale, shitale, shitale. She did get healed after this repetition, and shitale is a meaning that in English means to cool down your body. Although my great-grandfather was behind the whole idea of prayers, my grandmother's mother had taught her the rest of her children the way of worshipping, which is to, number 1, have a bath and wear good clothes, number 2, do namaskaram, which is a kneeling posture, and number 3, not only pray for humans, but for other living beings. Now it comes down to my father's generation with his family. Currently, at the moment, there's my father who chants in his mind and does repetition, and his sister has run the music class for 10 years, mainly based on Carnatic music, which is South Indian classical music. However, throughout what has happened in my father's generation, there's this change, and this change is what affects themselves and the future generations. It affects on how you talk, how you act, and most importantly, what your identity is like. During college in India, my dad had made a really important and a huge choice to move internationally and work for an international company, where this refers to the change. His choice had succeeded, and the first international move my family had made was news to the rest of my family, as no one else in the past generations has ever moved internationally. Currently, I'm in Switzerland, and the routes between my family and my dad's family with his parents are so easy to contrast. I can look at myself now and see that I'm a totally different person to how my grandmother was when she lived in India. My brother Vedant and I go to the same international school, and we have went to American schools before living in Switzerland, in other international countries. Ever since my father has made the change, the whole idea of prayers has gone a bit off, and it is not as mentioned a lot as how it was in my father's and grandmother's generations. An example is they had lived in the southeastern part of India, so there were more opportunities to learn prayers, and the spiritualness in southeastern India has come into my great-grandfather. It has then become his and my grandmother's interest to learn chants daily from people and books. With myself in Switzerland, with limited opportunities to praying, this project has put me in a situation where I need to figure out how to bring back the whole idea of prayers. It would be disappointing if I left something that my past generations have been pursuing and respecting. I also feel like it's a job for myself to prevent prayers from stopping, hoping that my past generations will be proud of me. See, what praying does is that it creates vibrations in the air, it creates calm for the mind, and it has some physical impact on the body, like a natural exercise. That is why every time I go to the south of India to visit my grandmother, I sit by her, facing the cabinet of pictures of gods and prayer books. This is not entirely a connection which we both deeply have in common in prayers, but it's a connection where we spend time together and learn each other's identity over time. Overall, having the passion of staying in Shrika prayers has really added up to my identity. The thought of it had come to me when I was younger, and I can thank this project for helping me remember that. I have always been fond of staying around my grandmother, and if that's the case, I can always be a citizen of a country and at the same time remember the whole idea of prayers.